Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Game, and we are returning to Democracy 4. We're returning Spain into a futurist utopia. So we are sort of towards the end of our second term over here. We don't have any term limitations, so we can continue if we do win the next election, and it does look good for us because our popularity is actually kind of soaring, which is very interesting. So that's gonna be a good basis for things to do. We've also made a lot of the changes that we wanted to introduce. We've introduced the space program, we've introduced the Mars program, we've gone for high-speed rail subsidies, so things are starting to look a little bit more technological, and we can certainly see that in the level of technology, which is maxed out. We can see that in the level of industrial automation, which is coming up, especially as we're also doing robotic research grants. So a lot of these things are starting to come into play and are starting to be a little bit more effective. Ultimately, what we want to get the achievements Academic Paradise, Living in the Future, and Silicon Paradise to get to that sort of computerized state of play. Now, until we get there, I think we have got most of the things, so we don't need to do that much more, I believe. Now, what we do need to do, I think, is do we actually have adult education subsidies? I think that was one of the requirements, and it should potentially show up somewhere over here. No, it doesn't. Maybe under productivity? State postal service? No. Well, can we find it here? Yeah, adult education subsidies. Do we have that? Oh yeah, that's down there, and it's very, very tiny. I must click it, don't I? Okay, you know what? Let's actually increase that right away, because I think it's just not about to do that. Productivity increases and all of that will be very, very lovely. Now, nevertheless, there are a couple of things that I want to solve until we do really get where we need to be, and that is still the respiratory disease and the hospital overcrowding. These things have been accompanying us from the start of the game, and I just want to make sure that, you know, I don't want everyone in Utopia to have asthma. I don't want the hospitals to completely be overcrowded. I think we can live with the gig economy, but I'm not sure whether that will not change due to some other effects. So let's see about that. And yeah, I think we just want to get rid of these. Now, what I want to do to that effect is, under economy, I want to ban coal. That does have an effect on the respiratory disease. It does help out the environment, so that is sort of doubly good. And it does decrease GDP, but I think we've maxed out GDP for such a long time that I think the positive effects here are just maxing that out anyway, and we can take that hit. So I think that should be fine. And actually not be too bad a thing. So, other than that, if we do get rid of the respiratory disease, I have hope that we are going to get rid of this increase in healthcare demand, which is one of the major drivers of hospital overcrowding. So I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that we have over here. Now, the other thing that I still want to address is the illegal immigration crisis. This doesn't do anything specifically bad for our country, except for that it does upset the Patriots and the Conservatives. So it's not that bad, but it does come around with a couple of other factors, and that is just illegal immigration does drive population, it does drive healthcare demand, it does depress wages and increases unemployment and so on. And so does legal immigration, but frankly, legal immigration is it's maxed out, so shifting illegal immigration into legal migration does not actually do that much in terms of changing anything, other than, of course, reducing the illegal immigration. So I think that's fairly fine, because we have already started doing that by reducing or opening up our immigration rules. I think we want to do here with the same with the refugee policies. I don't want to go for completely no checks, open borders, but I do want to go at least for fleeing persecution, and that will allow illegal immigration to come down somewhat. Patriots will not like that, everyone else does, and in particular ethnic minorities do like that too, which is going to be very helpful as well. And especially I think the Patriots should be very happy about the Mars program and all of that. So yeah, you can see they're going to become much more happy as time goes on. With a single political point here to go ahead, I don't think there's much that we can do. No, there's just sort of I do like the fact that the plastic bag tax it's purely symbolic. It just only helps making environmentalists happy and capitalists a little bit unhappy, but it does not actually do anything whatsoever to the state of the environment or anything else. Right, that being said, let's go to the next turn here, check what's going on. Ooh, this is not nice. Okay, the credit rating is downgraded. That's, of course, not that nice. We are getting to the point where we're having campaign speeches, but yeah, the deficit is kind of high here, so we do need to address that at some point. Anyway, with coal being banned, I think respiratory disease should start to drop. That's lovely. Healthcare demand should start to drop slightly, and it might just be enough to get rid of the hospital overcrowding. And if that happened before the election, parents and retired people would be so much happier, and that would actually be fairly lovely. So I'm going to hope that that is going to happen. Right, do we need to do anything else? Now, we've done most of the secular stuff. I do think we've got, curiously enough, we had right from the start a human cloning research grant program. So that seems to be something that is active in Spain. I don't think it does that much here in terms of doing anything except for upsetting a lot of people. But it's curious to see that that was in the game just right from the start. Okay, I don't want to screw with capitalists unless I can help it. Can we help out the environment in some other way too? It's still not really as high as it's sort of middle ground. I would like it to be a little bit better. Now, I think curiously enough, we could go for the hybrid cars initiative, which would drive up environmentalist membership. Okay, that's understandable. And it would actually help out the environment. But here's the catch. Our electric car transmission is already at 100%. So I'm not entirely sure why this would be good for us. And for the environment, because we already have electric cars. It doesn't, this is just a step back from that, so not too sure about that actually. Right, motorists should be fairly happy with some of the decisions that we had, shouldn't they? Well, we could go also for new car subsidies. You know what, I think we're going to do that. That is going to help out the environment somewhat. It is going to drive up car usage, which I dislike. But motorists are also going to be a little bit happier. GDP helps a little bit, and again, respiratory diseases go down. So that's nice. But then I think the other thing that we can do is we can look at a road building down here and basically dial that down a little bit. So basically use the goodwill that we have gained with the motorists for spending on new cars to actually decrease the spending on new roads. And I think that's going to be okay, because that will mean traffic congestion will go up a little bit, but on the other hand, car usage will go down. So I think that's going to be a very nice balance over here. Yeah, let's do that. I think that's going to be okay. Right, with 3 political power, we are going to go to the next turn over here. Ooh, a share IPO success. So one of our unicorns here, our technological companies, has apparently done a very good initial public offering at the stock market. Boost in GDP, boost in pretty much anyone. That's nice to see. Hospital overcrowding has also finally gone away. And the rare earth crisis, I think we've averted it. That's very lovely to see. Although it will increase just through the year, through the years. Technology is already maxed out, so I do think we need to be a little bit more aggressive on the foreign relations. It's not going to help by much, but at some point this might come into play simply by time passing. So, a little bit unfortunate. We are expected to get a lot of the votes, so that's nice to see. We are still running a big budget deficit, and I do have a plan to address that, but it is going to be somewhat radical, and we'll need to wait after the election for that to become public, I think. Otherwise, we're going to be in a little bit of a predicament. Right, yeah, we're really not reusing this here enough. And the racial tensions are nicely going to go away, but that does mean all of this here is going to be a little bit harder to implement. Right. Yeah, I think we want to help out here a little bit. It's not the nicest thing, but I guess it's going to be alright. And the real estate bubble here is still a big issue to me. Don't want to be too aggressive on the rent controls. Yeah, it's also going to decrease capitalist income. What else could we do? Well, there's still... Oh, we could also... You know what? Thinking about the economy, I think there's... Yeah, there's the compulsory water meters, and that I think is just a small thing that we can do over here to make everyone a little bit more happy and help out with the environment. I don't think we need tech colleges. Racial tensions would go down, foreign investment, everything else would go up. Patriots dislike that. Still, I do think it's a good policy. Also, racial tensions. How much do liberals like us? Well, they do kind of like us. They do definitely like us more than conservatives, though. So, stamping out racism might not be a bad idea, completely surprisingly. Racial tensions is still kind of high, which does actually, interestingly, it does. So high racial tensions would drive up Patriot membership. Interesting. Interesting setup there. No, but I think all in all, we are relatively okay over here. Do we need to do anything before the election? We've got 2 turns to go. This still is an issue, but not a big one. Yeah, so let's try to see whether we can do something about the housing situation. Superstores? No, 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 no. Public services? No, 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 no. Law and order? No, absolutely not. Eco-home? No. City farms? No, 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 no. Would competition law do anything? No. So it doesn't seem to be big companies that are doing that. And even in welfare, okay, there's nothing that we can do with the amount of political power that we do have. But let's see about that. Ooh, trade agreement. Here's a question again. I don't think we had a dilemma for a long time. A group of Western countries has established an initiative to set up a new trade agreement regulating tariffs, quotas, and so on. Do we want to sign the agreement, or do we want to refuse? You know what? I think trade is a good idea. Really? Oh, well, sorry. Didn't quite read that right. That's unfortunate. Right, let's see about that. Okay, there was also in a situation that you were about to tell me. Internet crime. Yeah. Well, technology is driving that up, but I think it has maxed out, and intelligence services are maxed out too. So I think that's going to be alright. Right, we could give a speech. Popularity is still kind of high, but we just did something against a very large group here, against the liberals and ethnic minorities, which definitely is not great. Security assessment is still adequate, so that's okay. Right, so I do want to do this ultimately. It's not going to really help us out in terms of the game. Foreign relations, technology, all of that is pretty high already, but it just seems like futuristic. So let's make sure that we're going to implement that before the end of the game here. But other than that, organic subsidies, yeah, all of these are helpful. Oh, we haven't even limited automatic trading yet. Mandatory microgeneration is interesting. Ooh, diversity quotas. Yeah, self-employed people dislike that. And I think we actually might need the state telecoms company. Because, curiously enough, one of our big challenges here is going to be internet speed. That does need to be above, I think, 75%. I think it starts out at 25. So, basically, we are around 50 because this is 20%. This is 60, yeah, so... Yeah, we do need a little bit more, I think, and one of the few ways to do that is actually through a state telecom company. And that is kind of funny because I have been living in a country where there is a state telecom company, and in fact I've been visiting several of those on business trips and such, and frankly my observation would be that a state telecom company does not, decidedly not, increase internet speed. Excuse me? You want me to pay 100 billion, so that's increasing our debt by 10% or so to nationalize the industry. But I'm afraid we need to do it. It's also going to cost us 1.6 billion per turn. Capitalists are not going to be happy. Trade unions are actually going to be happy, but unemployment is going to come down, poverty, and most importantly, internet speed is going to go up. So yeah, if we do need the state to provide that, then I think so be it. Gated communities. Curious that we should have that, I would say. I don't like that. I simply don't like that. I think we are a bit more of an egalitarian society here. Right. Oh, by the way, speaking of egalitarian, how is our country actually looking in terms of income. Okay, that's funny. This is the original income before any policies. This is the disposable income after our policies. We are driving everyone sort of to be an extremely poor person here, and that is largely due to private housing, private pensions. That's very low. Yeah, the real estate bubble is doing its thing, but that's harsh. Wow. How much are we deducting? Well, wages are terrible. So what about the wages that is so upsetting? So over here, right? It's immigration. And it's immigration and it's labor laws. Something that we did very, very early on. Yeah. I'm sorry about the immigration, but we are not going to close off our borders here. Just not going to happen. Okay, you know what? In that sense, let's just take a brief look at taxes over here. I don't think there's anything that we need. So, yeah, you know what? Let's give a speech. I think it does help to boost some of our popularity. You're motorist liberal, you are ethnic minorities and poor. Ethnic minorities are still kind of bad. It would be great if we could give a boost to the religious people so that they don't murder us again. I think we only had one assassination attempt, and that was because someone was trying to murder us. Right. Can't see the religious now. Let's try to reload that. I don't know why it doesn't do that. Okay, yeah, there we go. We're going to schmooze up to them. That's going to be alright. Environmentalists, you are already pretty happy, so that's not going to change anything at all, I'm afraid. Trade unionists don't care much about you, honestly. Yeah, and then I think other than that, you know what? Yeah, we're going to boost the self-employed because they actually are going to be a little bit more likely to vote for us. So yeah, let's do that. That's not going to make any difference here whatsoever because trade unionists... I was thinking we'd see a little bit more of that. But yeah, the religious people do like that we're thinking of them even if every one of our policies points against them. So there we go. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, and other than that, again, let's go to the... So, by the way, let's have a look at the internet speed because I do need that to be boosted up. Yeah, it's slowly increasing. You can see it's not much actually, but it's one of the very few ways you have that. And there we go. There's the first achievement, Academic Paradise. As we are actually starting the election count over here, and I'm not afraid of this because we do have a big spending boost. We do have a big boost in activist turnout, and we just have a very, very good perception impact, and that's nice. Oh, spending impact. Interesting. Minister impact. That's actually negative. Well, nevertheless, we've got 94% of the votes. And you can see pretty much all of the groups did vote for us by a very large margin. Except for the trade unionists, middle income, wealthy. But even these groups, we did much better than anyone else. So that's lovely to see. Oh, interesting setup over here. So, who was one of their voters? Let's say Chiara Hernandez, approval 59. Voted for the colonialists because of party motivation. Oh well. Okay, I don't think we need any reshuffle. I'm actually fine with that. There's a situation even... Luddite riots. So, our robotic overlords are being attacked here by the workers who've been left behind. Now... That's unfortunate. It would be great if the wages were better. But one of the big issues about the wages is that they are being depressed by the level of immigration. And unemployment is above where it needed to be too. Technology is maxed out. Industrial automation, yeah, that's already maxed out. I'm afraid we do need to think about some form of response to this because that's not going to be helpful. Delivery drones? Yes, certainly we're going to allow them simply because, oh, look at that, traffic congestion goes down. simply because we are futurist. And here we go. Achievement unlocked. Academic paradise. People these days are using terms like technocracy to describe your incredible efforts to build a super educated population. It's truly laudable, meritorious, credible, and probably lots of other long words. And indeed, I was struggling there for a second. Right. I'm almost... Yes. Okay. Almost this has gone away. That's lovely. This has certainly not gone away. Okay. How are we going to address the Luddite riots? With rubber bullets? Rubber? Bullets? Bullets? Bullets. Right. Yeah, I think the Liberals are going to hate it, but we are going to do it. So, yeah, we are going to fight it with our robotic overlords to try to maintain that. Water industry is pretty low. What does happen if we increase the water industry? Yeah, not much. Not much that I care for anyway. Right. Anything else we need? I think in terms of... Let me just briefly check my papers again. So, what do we need? We do need technology. We do need the space and Mars. We do need the driverless cars. Yeah, I think the big issue here is... The one that we are facing is really internet speed. And that's a little bit curious. So it's going to take a while for that to be completely implemented. We've got still a bit of a wiggle room, but surprisingly long, almost 2 years here for internet speed to come up. And I don't think there's anything else that we can implement in that regard. Sorry, that's not what I meant. New policies. I'm not sure there's... Yeah, you can only look like this, but there's no... you can't see the effects of that. So yeah, telecom industry would go down. That doesn't matter too much. Interesting that internet tax does not do anything with internet speed or anything like that. Huh. You're gonna go away. I really, really like that. I really do. Illegal immigration, you might go away at some point. Okay, this would have gone away. We might have a good chance here because we did relax the housing expansion and that is coming down over time, that effect. So that's going to be back up to here. And if we decrease it now, we might actually end up below that trigger point there. So that might be a good thing to do. And I think what we need to do then is bring up state housing. We're going to do it. It's going to cost some money. And speaking of the deficit, I do want to address that. And I want to address that in one radical way. And that is going to have to wait a turn at least. So yeah, let's get to the next turn. Respiratory disease gone. Finally. Quantum computing. Good. Budget report. Bad. Anything else? Situation imminent. Rare earth crisis. It's ticking up again. Due to the year. Just to do that. It's gonna be a problem. We probably do need some mining. We probably do. Right. Nevertheless, what I do want to do over here to address the budget deficit, I think we are going to cancel state pensions. That's going to be majorly upsetting for the retired, but notice that this is 33%. Keep that number in mind for a couple of turns here. 33%, basically a third of 100%. And let's see how much that does actually change. Because this is costing us 9 billion. We're going to cancel that policy. And we're going to look at the private pensions. Because the private pensions, I think actually the retired persons are actually going to be happy about, just as happy about receiving private pensions rather than state pensions. And that is going to go up because GDP is very high. You can only do this in really wealthy societies where the economy is running. Then you can leave up a lot of things to the private sector. Otherwise, you really can't do that. Right, state housing. Come on. Yeah, I think we need a little bit more. That needs to go down by 10% or so more. So that's probably going to be in the tax sector. Didn't we have a medicine tax or something? Or empty homes tax? Do we already have an empty homes tax? Could also go for mortgage tax relief. I think that's one of the few things that the middle earnings do like. It's not that expensive. Okay, you know what? Let's do it. I dislike that idea, typically, because I don't think why people should basically buy homes instead of... why that should be subsidized instead of renting. Socialists and poor people will dislike it, but we're going to do it anyway, because I think they're going to be happier if the other stuff goes away. Internet crime, that's not a big issue, and we are going to go with the criminal ones here, sort of middle of the ground. Yeah, budget. Oh yeah, we do have a small surplus now, so that's lovely to see. Yeah, well, the debt level has increased. That's bad, but I think overall we're going to be all right here. Now, big question is, I really think it's the internet tech that is still missing over here, isn't it? We've got the robotic research grants, we've got the tech grants, I think, don't we? Yeah, we do have both of these. We've got technology. We've only haven't got the internet speed. I think that's the only thing missing over here. Right, so let's try to address that, and in the meanwhile, let's try to get rid of some of these things. And the illegal immigration is still an issue over here. And simply because it is, I'm going to go for retinal scans. That should be 6 political power. There we go. Yeah. I dislike it. But we're going to do it. We could also try to outlaw, actually, trade unions. It would cost us a fair amount of stuff over here. And wages would go down. I think I would actually like wages to go up again at some point. Now we could introduce some other measures here. We could do the reverse, make them a lot happier, but at the cost of making capitalists unhappy. Let's go for Trade Council. It's a small policy, but it's an alright one. We're going to also increase our diplomatic service. And I think our foreign aid, at least somewhat, doesn't need to be too much. But I think all of these will help out with the ethnic minorities, foreign relations, and therefore help out on some of the other stuff. Do we need to boost our military? I think we don't. Liberals dislike it. We do have the technology anyway. We acquired that largely through peaceful measures. We don't have any effect from the private cars. I thought there would be. Yeah, we are going to warn users. I think that should be enough. If you do want to be tracked and visit websites where that does happen. Okay, that's looking promising here. Real estate bubble going away. Finally no more health issues actually. And still illegal immigration crisis. Yeah, but I think it's going to go away over time. Good. Okay, so any other policies? Oh yeah, of course, fusion reactors. That's we do need those. Strictly speaking, we don't, of course, in game terms, but just simply for flavor, I think that's perfectly fine. Right. With that being said, let's see whether we're going to get anywhere close. Ooh, the missile test. I'm not sure whether that does depend on your military funding being too low, or whether it's a truly random event. Right, speaking of, how's the internet speed doing? It's just a tiny couple of points here. But I'm not sure whether we do need... I don't think we need to do anything else. Let's go for the stem cell research. Simply because it is very appropriate, I think, to sort of fund any type of research as we are going about over here. Drugs. This doesn't actually do anything for us, but also, again, it doesn't cost anything, so it's going to be alright. Compulsory food labeling, state water, no. All of these are fine as they are, I think. Tasers were not actually included in the other questions. Prisoners are allowed to vote, because of course they are. Gender transition. Now at this point we only have 8% of our population are religious, and that is going to drop further. So I think anything actually that does upset them, we can actually go ahead and be a lot more liberal about that. Because who cares if the religious people dislike it if there are none? I think that's a decent way to go about this. Ban non-LED lamps, yeah, we're going to do that. Environmentalists are going to be happy. Liberals, funny enough, are not. Small deficit, but that's very small indeed. Okay, so yeah, again, what is going against your wishes here? Pay school subsidies. I think we can now actually go ahead and completely ban that. Because we don't... Well, it's still a big positive boost. So as long as there's some around, I think we're going to keep it. But we might cancel it just right after that. Yeah, and then we're going to go and do the gender transition. Be a lot more liberal about that. I like the idea. It's going to increase healthcare demand. Is tiny scooch. But really not enough to make any difference. So I think that's going to be alright. And then anything else? Oh, Sunday's shopping. Trade unionists do like that. GDP suffers. Liberals dislike it. We're going to cancel the policy. Anyone can buy in online shops anyway. Okay, fine. There we go. Royal scandal. We are going to criticize the monarch here. Liberals do like that. Situation imminent. Luddite riots. Yeah, you're still being driven up. But I think that has stabilized somewhat because I'm imagining industrial automation must have reached maximum levels anyway, so that's fine. 2.9% of the population. You still could be a terrorist threat, but I still think there's so many things here that do drive down your percentage of population that I think it's going to be alright to ignore you a little bit. And we could again think about this. So conservatives dislike it. Wealthy people actually do love it. Health would come down. But you know what? I think it's a very appropriate sort of futuristic take on things. Joining the Union. Our nation has been accepted into a pan-continental organization like the EU. Okay, well, that's funny. That's just an event like that. Parents seem to be happy over here. But there is still a rare earth crisis potentially in the making. And I think to avert that, what we probably need to do is go for public services and see... No, economy probably, isn't it? Rare earth mining, 32. We do need to save up a little bit. That's going to be alright. We can do so. Go to the next turn here. And there we go, Silicon Paradise. That is very lovely to see. Silicon Paradise. Are we 100% sure this text is not written by robots? Who knows? Because in this technotopia for geeks and robots, anything is possible. Prepare your circuits for excitement as we whir and click into the new age. Lovely. I like that. But that does still leave one important thing to achieve. Now, we are running on 33 minutes here, but I would love to get living in the future. And I think the only thing that is stopping us there is just a tiny scooch of internet speed. So we've maxed that out already, unfortunately, in all of these categories. So I'm not sure we can actually boost that. Yeah, let's be fair about our take on this. Okay, we've never managed to avert any of these things. Mortgage tax, empty homes tax. That's actually maxed out. State housing, I do think we'll just need to bring it up. Okay, let's do one more turn here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under public service, economy, and do rare earth metal mining. Environmentalists dislike that, and they dislike it by a lot. But I think it is going to be alright. It is also going to be relatively costly, so I don't want to do too much of that. But just doing a little bit should help out at least somewhat. How's the security situation looking? It's okay. Religious people, 2% of population, very nice to see. That's dropping down very much. Luddite riots, that's been basically... yeah, we're going to ban that. Yeah, but it just doesn't seem possible to increase this over here. It must be sitting at around 75%. So yeah, I'm gonna end the episode here, and I'm gonna try to find out whether there's any other thing that we can do to boost internet speed. Because if not, I'm a little bit concerned whether it's possible to get this achievement at all. So yeah, let's see about that. Hoping to see you guys around next time. Bye bye, guys.